Hey guys, what's going on? It's Chris. So I recently, not that long ago, I did a video on 3D printers. I recently bought a few 3D printers. I got two of the Bambu X1 carbons because that one turned out to be the best, which that's the advice I had gotten prior to buying one, but I had done a lot of research and been led to QIDI as well, and because of their heated chamber and everything, I thought it was a good option, and I got one of each and ended up going with the second Bambu because I prefer the Bambu. I did get the QIDI printer working, but I just prefer the Bambu printers. So anyways, for those printers, this nozzle, I did the video on the aftermarket nozzle, and I had a couple follow-up questions that I wanted to address. So I did some prints with it so I could show you guys. I'm going to show you, this is a phone amplifier that you can find on, I believe, either printables or the Bambu thing. So this is in regular PLA plus, eSun PLA plus, and you can probably see the quality of the print is pretty phenomenal. You know, there's very little imperfection. I mean, you know, you can see the layers, but I mean, you can see that with the Bambu print, with the Bambu nozzle as well. This comes out just as good, if not better, than the OEM installed hot end. I don't see anything that could be better on this. I mean, I've actually. Did I print one with that? I did print another one of this same thing with the original head, but it's at my house. I don't have it here, unfortunately. I should have probably done that, but I didn't think of it, honestly. And this I just printed. This is this is a spool holder. I printed this on the Bambu textured plate, and this is also this is the little decal, the little QR code that goes on the build plates. I found that online. If you guys have, I'm not sure if other people have label makers like this, but if you have a brother label maker, this is a P-Touch. I actually found it honestly in the code for this. It was in the P-Touch app, so I was able to print it very easily, and I was able to print a bunch of the decals, the QR codes for the textured plate, and I actually did it on both sides of this, and I did it on all of the plates for the different codes for the different plates, the high temp plate, the textured plate, every different one. And then this one, the Wham Bam, I'm actually printing something with right now. I started it before this because I wanted you guys to see how well I didn't put anything on the surface of this plate. I didn't put any hairspray, glue, anything. All I did was the same thing they tell you to do with the steel wool. I just went, you know, in circular patterns with it, and just gave the surface a little roughing, you know, a little scraping, and I printed ASA on that, which has given me a hard time. Honestly, TPU has been easier for me than ASA. I'm not sure why ASA has given me such a hard time, but on that Wham Bam plate, it sticks with nothing. So I was impressed, so I figured it was worth mentioning. And I'm starting it's a small print. It may even be done by the time it's just one of those PTFE tubes. That's the tube guide for the top of the print head. It's more curved than the one that I have on there now. Which these ones, the ones that are like more of an L shape or kind of like a J, they have kind of an abrupt turn. So it gives the filament more of a hard time getting around it. So I figured this one might do better, and here we go again. This is printing, it's laying down the first layer perfectly with ASA, which has been very surprising to me because I haven't had luck with too many others. So let me just show you that quickly. I'm gonna have to actually move this whole bracket over. So you can see that's an ASA. I'll show it to you when it's finished, but I don't know if you can really see that. The reflection on the plate is kind of obstructing the view a little bit, but hopefully you can get the idea. I mean, it's not pulling it. You know, it's not coming right off the plate like it would in previous attempts. on textured plates or on even on the high temperature engineering plate. I have a lot of different build plates, and I mean, I've tried mostly all of them, and I don't know of too many others. I've done some research and trying to find what's good for what material, because I have a lot of different filaments, and I wanted to get a good build surface for each one. But this is a cool plate and a textured, and then this is a PEI plate, and then the high temp engineering plate, and another cool plate, and then the two actual Bambu textured plates, and then the Wham Bam, and then one of these is an aftermarket cheaper version, this one, which actually works surprisingly well, but the Bambu definitely works better. I don't know what the difference is, but there is definitely a difference. You don't need, this is done on the Bambu, it's just completed. So this is just clips for that PTFE cable, but not the ones that I printed previously were just like an S shape. This one goes all the way around. You see, this is no adhesive. I didn't use anything, glue, hairspray, nothing, and it's just coming right off perfectly. It printed really, really well. This is on the actual Bambu textured plate. So these just go all the way around the wire cable, the wire chain, and the PTFE can slip right in the top. It's kind of like the ones that are on it originally, but I figured those would work better. But I just printed this in PLA Plus, I believe. This was, hold on, let me check on here. It was, yeah, okay, these I did in PETG. These are guides for the 4 PTFE hoses that are in the AMS system. So I printed 2 of those, 1 for each. And I figured I would print in a few different materials so you guys could see, because those nozzles are on both of these printers for all of these prints. For this print, for the spool holder, you know, the spool thing, for the to make them work in the AMS, the cardboard spools, and these clips and this ASA, that's all with those nozzles. And so I'm showing you the build plates as well as the nozzles at the same time. Also, someone mentioned the installation of the nozzles, and more specifically, I showed 2 different kinds. So as it turns out, the one that I thought was a better design, which had 2 screws in the bottom that would hold this more stable, and it would actually guide it, you know, in a specific spot. Those turned out to be worse. They printed, I don't know why, I'm not really sure why. I haven't been able to narrow down a reason, because they also do have the same set screws. There's 2 1.5 millimeter grub screws that set the head, but there's a flat surface, so those grub screws also set it, you know, once those are tight and they hit that flat surface, it's gonna keep it a certain direction as well. But these work better. I don't know why. They still have the same copper tube going up to the filament. Both of them did. I'm not really sure what it is that's different, but there's something better about this one. The one that I replied to a comment with the link. I'll put the link in the description of this video. So if you guys want to do the hot end upgrade, use this one, not the other one that I was comparing it to in the first video. I don't even have one to show you, because I ordered 2 of each and I sent those back, and I actually now have 3 of this one. There's 1 in each printer and the one in my hand. So this is the one that, as I was showing you guys in the previous video, you can change this nozzle. You don't have to, I'm gonna need something else to hold this. Hold on 1 second. You don't have to take the whole hot end off if it gets clogged. You can just take the nozzle out, which is, in my opinion, is a big deal. Because that's one thing that the QIDI printer had that this one didn't in the beginning. That was one of the things that was a downfall to the Bambu compared to the QIDI printer. But I mean, you can rectify that with an aftermarket nozzle that's actually less expensive than the OEM. So it's a pretty easily solved problem. I mean, if you consider it a problem, but okay. Well, no, that's not really working, is it? There we go. It's got some filament in there. That's why it's turning the whole thing, because I've used this one. But here we go. So you guys can see, you can take the nozzle out. Whoop. And this is with one of the nozzles that has the three different channels for the filament to split apart and to spread the heat more evenly. And that just twisted and ripped my ceramic, so I'm gonna have to replace that. Tighten those grub screws down pretty good, because that's what happens if you don't. But anyways, that's a good example to show you what not to do. I'm gonna have to replace this ceramic now. So you see, I just broke this because I didn't have the grub screws tight enough, and when there was filament in there, it turned it. So the other one would have prevented that. That's why I thought it was a better design in the first place. But it's not. It's not a better design because it just doesn't print as well. So I mean, you guys can try what you want to try, obviously, but I saw a noticeable difference in the print quality. And I really wish that I had recorded some of the print. Unfortunately, I didn't, and I've already sent those back. But I can tell you from me personally testing with it, I'm not going off of anyone else's opinion. I'm not guessing. I can tell you for certain, by me printing with them personally, that they did not print as well. That's an absolute fact. They did not print as well, not even close. So it's just that simple. The print quality is the reason that I am recommending this over the other one. And there's really, I mean, honestly, as far as design, I would prefer that the other one had worked better, because it would never have spun like that. And that's kind of a stupid thing. It is. It's a stupid design flaw to not have it stabilized. But whatever they did, there must be a reason, because this is printing a dramatic amount better, like really a dramatic amount better. There was noticeable defects in the other print. I don't know honestly what caused it, but it was being caused by something. Clearly, it was happening. Is the bottom line. Also, this little insert goes in there with it. This is the nozzle, the nozzle holder that you screw the nozzle head into, and then this little circular piece goes up against it, and that holds it steady. So it has a circle in here. It has a flat surface for the two grub screws. It has two little flat surfaces for each grub screw. They're very small, obviously. And then this side has the circle indentation where it would go right up against this flat. So it still does have the ability to move a little bit. So when you twist the hot end, you kind of want to hold this, because otherwise, you're going to do what I just did and break the ceramic, which, I mean, Bambu sells them so inexpensive. It's not really the end of the world. They're like $13.99 for 3 of them. So I buy, the sets of 3. I mean, if I keep breaking them like that, I'm going to have to order a lot. But normally they don't break very easily, so it's not a very big deal. They last a long time. I haven't really had to go through any other than something stupid like that. So, I mean, I can definitely recommend these highly. And honestly, if you want a textured plate, the best one is the Bambu original one. Get the real Bambu one. And if they don't have it, there's other third-party sites that do online, because they're out of stock. As far as I know, the most recent time I tried to buy one, they were out of stock. But I'm going to basically have to redo this anyways because of the ceramic. So I'll show you guys how it's done, how you put it together. Let me get this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. So let me get some thermal compound and a ceramic heater. The ceramic heaters, I know I mentioned this previously, definitely use the OEM Bambu. That's one thing that definitely made a difference. I had errors on temperature with both of those two hot ends when I used the ones that came with them, and I did order them with the heating element and the thermistor, and both of them had a problem with the ones that they came with. So that doesn't go for either one. I would use honestly, it makes sense to use the original Bambu stuff for something like that anyway. But even the thermal paste, I have good thermal paste, but this is like a thermal grease. It has a different consistency. So anyways, I have to put these parts in first, so I'll show you. So this circular part goes right here with the two flat ends facing outward. So just so you can see, this is the two flat ends where the two grub screws go, and you slide that in right there so the grub screws will hit on the flat surface. And then you kind of have to anyways, because for this to line up where there's the circular part, let me show you. You see how the circular part has to kind of line up to make a full circle. And then when you put this in, that'll make a full circle. And as you can tell, so it can kind of spin. It's somewhat of a flaw in the design. I mean, it's not really somewhat, it kind of is a flaw. There should be a way for it to stop. But that wasn't the right solution. It doesn't appear that was a very good solution, because by putting those two screws in the bottom, I don't know if it changed the way the temperature is distributed. I'm not sure exactly what it did to make the hot end, because I didn't see any other noticeable differences, not in the appearance, in the design, and anything you can see with the naked eye. I couldn't tell a difference. So I mean, I didn't take a micrometer and measure everything either, so there may be a smaller difference that I can't tell, but I don't know. I didn't measure it like that. I didn't get that far into it. But just tighten these down as well as you can, and it definitely holds it for a print. There's no question about that. For loosening the hot end, no, you need to hold this with a wrench too. So yeah, obviously I'm just finding that out myself. But I haven't had to change any of these tips except for when I first put them in, to change them to the, you know, the ones with the 3 separate channels. So anyways, so that's in. You just tighten those 2 grub screws. That'll pinch those 2 together, and then put your this is 0.4, but I did order this hardened steel with the 0.4, the 0.6. Just the 0.4 and 0.6 in the black steel, and then it actually comes with brass in all 4, 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, and 0.8. So, and it's I think it's like $40, right around $40 for. You get one of the hardened steel with the 3 channels, and then I believe it comes with a straight 1 channel, and then 1 of each size in brass, which is good for the price. I mean, $40 is cheaper than you pay for an OEM one, and it prints better, and you have multiple nozzle sizes. It's honestly, it's a better overall price and better overall savings. So I'm just putting some thermal grease. This is the original Bambu stuff. Oh, I'm actually putting it on the wrong side. Yeah, sure I am. So I'm just gonna take that off and put it right there. All right, so you want to make sure you put it on the side that has the longer flat surface, because the shorter flat surface is for the clamp to sit in to hold everything down. And then you want to put it right in the hole where your thermistor is going to go, and put this in there. If I can find the hole. There we go. I know that's what she said, right? Anyways, fold it over, put it up there. Take the new ceramic, put this on here. Hold that flat, put your wires through the guide, and then take your clip and guide this up. And just slide it right over. You're going to get a little thermal grease on your hand. There's just no avoiding that. You can wear gloves, I suppose, if it bothers you. And then that stop on the other side, that's the one that I mistakenly put the thermal grease on. That's to stop this. So that's where it's supposed to sit. So, and then just wipe that excess off, or put it on the surface where it's supposed to be, which is the surface with the ceramic heater or the thermistor. And then put your boot on with the small opening where the wires are going to come out. Right there. This is a Bambu boot. That's just what I had handy, but they come with rubber boots that are pretty similar. This is one of the rubber boots that it came with. So it just doesn't have the Bambu logo, and it's a slightly different shape, but not much. It's really pretty similar. But I'll use that one next time, or whenever I grab it. It's really no difference as far as the rubber boot. They're essentially the same type of rubber. And then just put your fan back on. So I put the fan on this side with where the wires are, so it puts the wires in between the fan and the hot end, which is the way that it came. So I assume that's the way it's supposed to go, but I never tried it any other way, so I can't tell you for sure if it matters. I'll show you the ASA print. Oh no, it actually did spaghetti. Well, what do you know? I guess it didn't work this time. Look at that. No, it sure didn't. I don't know what happened. Huh. I just did my first successful ASA print on this, and I'm gonna try a little bit of, so let me show you guys what's going on. Hold on one second, let me move this. So this, I'm just gonna tighten the screws. Let me just wrap this up so I don't have to come back to it. Just tightening the screws on the fan, and then I'm sure you guys know how to change a hot end. From here, it's just changing a hot end. You just put the filament in, and there's a little piece of filament that was still in this one, which is probably, I mean, not probably, it is why it's stuck. So I'm gonna try to pull that out now that I broke free the nozzle. It should come up. I just need to get a pair of tweezer pliers to be able to grab it. I guess it wants to stick in there too, apparently. That's all right. When I put it in and heat it up, it'll come right out. But I prefer not to heat this with a torch or a heat gun. It's just better to heat it with the ceramic, because you know it's just going to burn off the finish, and it's I just prefer to leave them alone and use them the way they're supposed to be used, because every time you change something on a design that works, you have the potential for it not to work, you know. And if you don't know 100% what you're doing, then you have all the trial and error that comes with that, and I just don't have time for it. I have too many other things that I have to do trial and error on. So anyways, this is the Wham Bam plate that I'm raving about, and then it screws up my ASA print while I'm recording. But it did do a successful ASA print just yesterday. So what I'm going to try to do is just do a little bit of hairspray, because it just didn't, it was sticking well at the beginning. The first layer stuck perfectly. I watched it, and it didn't continue to stick for some reason. So I'm going to try that, and I'm going to stop and then reprint it. Yes. Okay, clear. Print again. Oh, I cleared it by accident. I'll reprint it from here. And let's see if this is going to stay now. Alright, play, prepare, and print plate. Yes, confirm. Oh, that could be why. It's saying that the G code is not the typical G code, but it could be, yeah, it's probably something to do with that. This is a finicky filament. Honestly, with that first layer stuck, so it's probably that. Because the first layer of sticking has always been the problem with ASA for me. I don't know if any of you guys have experienced the same thing, but this is, you know, even ABS. Oh, well, I should actually have the door closed also. That's probably part of it too. So much PETG and PLA. Sometimes I forget you have to close that up for this. That's honestly probably part of it as well. It should print okay now. It's probably my fault. All right, well, so let's see how this does. But I'll try to include this in the video. I don't want to talk you guys to death. I don't really have too much else to say right now, but I do want to give you as much information as I can, and I want to answer all the questions that were asked after the last video. So that was the assembly, which I just showed you, and the install is just the exact same as any other hot end on a Bambu printer. And the prints, somebody asked me to show the print, so I'm trying to make this as interactive as I can and follow up all the questions with not only an answer, but an actual video to show you the answer. So the print, this is the quality off of a Bambu texture plate, and this is the nut that goes with it. I'm not sure, I have to look a little further into this. I'm not sure what this is actually supposed to screw onto. I don't know that it screws onto anything. It didn't come with a centerpiece. Let me see if there is something that I'm missing here. And the only reason I did this part in ASA was to show you guys that plate actually works well with it, because I was impressed by that, because no other plate would. So hopefully it does this time, so I can actually show you guys what I was intending to show you. I don't see it here. Let me see if I can find it back on that. I must have closed that one. Let me go to the models really quick. I'm just looking on the Bambu website. Let's see if I can get that in the frame for you. you can kind of see my screen. If I can get this thing to stay like that. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to search for, this is a cardboard spool adapter. Spool adapter. Okay, spool adapter, boom. Now, where did I see this? This was for, it did not have any centerpiece. It just had the nut, but it had to be threaded onto something. There are threads in the middle. Where did I just, oh, I'm sorry, I saved it. I did put it in here. Where is it? 30s. It's a spool, cardboard spool spindle and spindle nut. That's it right there. Okay, so it just had the spindle and the spindle nut. Let me just open that really quick. I'll show you. It only came with the spindle and the spindle nut. So that's this, and then the other piece that printed with it. I honestly just transferred it. I saved the file as well, but I transferred it right into Bambu from the Bambu website, and those are the only two parts that it came printing from that, and that's only two parts that it saved when I saved the files as well. So I'm not sure. Oh wow, this I guess I had it. This is probably the other side, and then a nut to hold it. That makes sense. So now I have to print this also. So that's what I did wrong. So that's on me too. So let's delete 3 of these filaments and just do it in one, and we'll print that one over here. All right, this is the side I was using. And this Bambu textured plate also prints very well with no adhesive at all. So once in a while, I might have to put a little bit of hairspray on it, which I use the standard Aquanet, which I had heard other people recommend. Extra super hold professional hairspray, you know, whatever. It's like $3-4 a can. And it lasts a long time. Even if you have to use it on every print, it's fairly heavy. It's going to still last a long time. There's a lot in there for $4. It's pretty good. Because if you guys have bought, oh, that's not PLA Basic. That's not what's in there. If you guys have bought the glue sticks, they're not all that cheap. They're like $30, I think, for like 12 of them. I want to say, from my best recollection. And this is going to be, yes, textured, and we'll do Eson PLA Plus black. Slice that, and then I'll have the other side of this. That totally makes sense. Oh yeah, well that's the wrong printer, that's why. So having multiple printers with Bambu software is not all that bad. If you guys can see on my screen, I'm not sure if it's close enough, but there's a small tab over here that has bay. I used bay 1 and bay 2 because if you see, I have these little bays underneath the counter over here. When I was pointing at the printer, I'll bring you back over there in a minute. But there's a bay here and a bay here, and there's all around the room because this building was owned by the phone company several owners ago. They had all phone stuff set up down here, but I put one printer in there, one printer in there. I didn't go and build all these. I mean, I could have, but I didn't have to, obviously. So it's in bay 2. Let's go to bay 1. So now it was just showing me how far along the print was in bay 2. So you can use multiple printers on it, and it works. You can still just have one window open, and you can open another window, and you can switch them back and forth. You just go to device, and then under the device tab, you can switch which device once you save them both. If you have 2 or you know, however many. I'm assuming it would work with 5 or 10 or however many people might have. I have only 2, and then the QIDI printer, but having multiple on the same software is a first for me. So if anybody else has that same question, if you're planning on getting multiple of Bambu anyway, the software is pretty accommodating. So that was a good surprise, obviously. So let's see that other print and see if I can show you guys how that's doing. That should be right here. Yep. All right. So yeah, it's sticking well now. I have everything closed, and that had to have been my fault because I didn't have the top on and the door shut. I got the, you know, you print PLA or PETG so often and then forget to shut it. So yeah, that one was on me. It's printing pretty well. Then again, it is kind of a tall print. It's not tall, but it's narrow and it has some height to it, and I didn't put supports, so that could have been it also. But the adhesion, it wasn't the problem. As you can see, it's still sticking, and it's how many layers in? It's 14 layers, so it's pretty well into the process, and it still has adhesion. It's not the print bed. The plate, anyways. That plate is definitely it's adhering to the plate, no question. So, but this is the nozzle as well. I'm showing you guys the build plate because I happen to be using it, and I was doing this video as a follow-up anyways, but I also wanted to show you the quality of the print with those nozzles, and this is it printing right now with the nozzles. That's that same nozzle I just showed you. The same, it's the 0.4, it's the black steel with the 3 channels. That's what I have in both of them. I don't know why. Oh, it just switched to the other device because it started printing. So once in a while it'll do that, like it'll switch because there's something activated in one or the other. But you can always just switch it back. It's pretty simple. And there we go. Hit play, and it'll go back to the one we were just on. The only thing about the software, which is the same for any design CNC machining software like Fusion 360 or the cut control software for my CNC machine or whatever any other CAD and CAM software that you might use, you need to have a pretty serious graphics card. This one has 2 in it. This computer has an NVIDIA as well as a Intel 1770 or 770, I think. It's an Intel 770, and then you have the high-speed NVIDIA graphics chip, which it's an all-in-one computer, and it was expensive when I bought it, but I bought it as an office computer, and I never used most of those features, and then I ended up starting to get more into this kind of stuff and needing it, and I dedicated that NVIDIA graphics card to those programs and the Intel to the rest. But in my desktop computer, I just swapped out the graphics card, and I made a video on it. I actually had to I actually changed it again since then, but I accommodated a Radeon that had an 8-wire power supply by using 2 separate power supplies. So it was kind of crazy, but it worked. I mean, it worked perfectly. The computer worked flawlessly, and the graphics card worked impeccably. I changed it because more of the CAD and CAM software is compatible with NVIDIA than Radeon, and I didn't realize that before I purchased it. I mean, that's not true. I had read that before I purchased it, and I decided to try it anyway, and it didn't work out, and I ended up getting an NVIDIA 3070 Ti, I think. So that actually only took 8-pin instead of 12-pin, 8-pin instead of 16-pin, I'm sorry. A 6+2, that's why I'm getting confused, because it's a 6+2 and a 6+2. But this one the NVIDIA only took one 6+2 and still works flawlessly. It's slightly smaller, which is actually very convenient because I can shut my computer now. I couldn't shut it before because the way that I made it work had wiring going out to the second power source, and not only that, the graphics card was so massive I literally had to cut out of the front of the tower for it to protrude in order for it to sit where it needed to sit. But I did all that and got it to work, and you can see that video if you'd like to check it out. In the past I did. I didn't do a new video on the new graphics card. It's just an NVIDIA GeForce 3070 Ti standard installation, so there's no custom cutting the front of the computer or wiring to a second power source or anything that interesting, so that's why I didn't do another video. But it's a great graphics card. It works perfectly. So anyways, as you can see, when you're printing, there's no effect on the print or on the nozzle from those 2 screws being absent, because this one doesn't have them. It's the exact same one I just showed you guys, and it's set up the same way, and I did everything the same as I did on this, and the same with both of these 2 printers, which this one is already starting to print this. it has a little poop stuck to it from when it was cleaning itself. It didn't come all the way off, but that happens randomly. It generally doesn't even actually screw up the print. It'll come off when it goes to clean itself during the print. But they're impressive printers. I mean, they really